Hey Taylor,
Hey, how are you doing?
good
I'm
man.
not in my office today. Can you tell by my background?
Yeah, you're in. It looks well. Hold on, let me look. It looks like you're in Colorado.
I am. I'm in Berthoud, Colorado.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm at my oldest son's house, just kind of checking in with the family out here, having a lot of fun.
Good.
So yeah, I thought I'd jump on, see if I had a question or two I could help you with, because I don't know if you know all the answers.
No, I don't, but I'm really good at faking it. So
There you go. All right. Sounds good to me.
I see a few people coming in already. Thank you, Chuck, for the thumbs up. As you guys come in, make sure you give us a thumbs up or a heart, like what's going on here. That helps us with all the social algorithms, as it were. But it also gives us a chance to thank you for being here. So, um, all right, let's see. No comments yet. This is our uh, monthly Q&A, and this is we've got some good questions. We got four big questions this week that I think are going to be interesting to jump into and kind of talk about. So I guess I'll start with the first one.
Okay.
This is about video, and Taylor, I was going to throw this one to you because um, this is we I want to talk about this. You've been doing a lot of video, going and
Hmm.
helping people with video, but we also have a lot of clients that just say, you know, I want to do my own social media video. I know I need to be doing some clips and things, but I don't know. I just never feel like I can do it very well, and I'm very subconscious or self-conscious when I'm in front of a camera. And how do I get more comfortable with the whole video thing and the whole process of doing video for my business?
So the easy answer is just do more of it. I mean, I think the more you do, you just get more and more comfortable. The thing that I find is there's a couple of things that I think you have to overcome. Just a mental thing to overcome. One is when somebody tells me I don't like the way I look on video. Well, I tell them nobody does. There are actors and actresses in Hollywood that do not watch their films because they do not like the way they look. Now, these are beautiful people, okay? So just understand that's just a human thing. None of us likes, the way we look. I mean, Carter always looks better than me. Always. It's just uncanny how that
It's
works.
funny because I think the same thing about I don't always think I look as good as you do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's that human tendency to just say, I do not like the way I look. I get it. I mean, I do understand it. But you just have to I think there's another level you have to go. It's like you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. We get told that a lot in business, and this is one of those things that I think is very true. And in the beginning you're uncomfortable, but it's like anything else. When we start riding a bike, we're uncomfortable. We don't know what it's going to do. We think we're going to fall. All these things, and you just have to do it over and over and over again until all of a sudden, um, oh wow, I can ride a bike. I can go this far. I don't fall. And yeah, you may crash every once in a while, but you still know how to ride the bike. I mean, you get up and do it again. So I think that's the first thing. The second thing that is really interesting is I don't like the way I sound. That's the other thing, and it's the same thing as I don't like the way I look. You just got to kind of get over yourself. People that know me know this. Like I drive my wife crazy because if I'm listening to a book and I'm in my truck, I have things on like times five. I listen to things so fast it just will make your head spin, but it makes me concentrate on it. That's why I listen so fast, because if I slow it down, if listen to myself talk at the speed of which I talk, I would be asleep. We'd be in crashes in my truck, because I can't do that. And it's just the way my brain works. So you have to figure that out for yourself. And then I have joked. I said, just quit listening to yourself. I mean, if you don't like the way you sound, then It doesn't matter because you're not going to be listening to you anyway. It's other people that are going to be listening to you. So, some of it, and I hate to say that because it's like, we all go, oh, well, get over it, move on, blah, 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 blah. But there are psychological hurdles that you do have to work on. There's the imposter syndrome that, I'm out here telling people what I think I should tell them, but I don't feel like I'm good enough or educated enough or this enough or that enough. Um, but when they call you on the phone and you answer it in your office, you can talk all day. So, that you're really not an imposter. I mean, you know what you're talking about. You understand people's needs. You understand what they need from you, and so I think it's really important that that you know that in your head, so that you can make sure that how you feel, because it really is about how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
We're dealing with how we're feeling about something. So, and that's, I can't ever tell somebody how they should feel because that's just dumb. Because people feel what they're going to feel. But I can say that there are steps that you can take to alleviate some of that. And it really is being honest with yourself and understanding that sometimes you just have to be uncomfortable in order to go to that next level.
You have to be willing to do something badly before you can do it well, right? And that's, I mean, the key to anything worth doing is worth doing badly at first. And
Exactly. And don't you think that as companies, we do a lot of things badly
sure,
before we do them well?
yeah, no, of course. And it's constantly in a state of change. I mean, you may have your systems completely ironed out and things running smooth as can be with, three people in the business, but then you hire somebody and hire another person and suddenly what worked with three people isn't working so well at six, and you got to change everything. And so it's that constant state of change, but being willing to, stick with something until you master it, even while you're doing it badly at first. People are much more forgiving than you think they are. And
Yeah.
they're going to see a video and get something good out of it. And it may not be that you conveyed the message as well as you would have liked or anything else, but practice makes perfect. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get. I'll throw out a couple of other just real quick practical solutions for getting more comfortable in front of the camera. One of the challenges that people have when they try to set up and do video on their own with nobody else around is it is almost impossible to keep your focus and to think, about what you're trying to say while you're staring at a little glass, round piece of glass that is a camera and is capturing everything that you're saying. And to just stare at that and try to make sense, it's hard. It's hard to stay focused. So invite somebody that you trust into the room with you to stand behind the camera so that it feels more like a real conversation with a real person. If a person isn't available to actually come into the room and do that, I've heard of people taking a picture and printing out like a picture of their spouse or a picture of someone in their business, and or just their favorite customer or a good friend or whatever, and just putting that picture right by the camera. That way, it just feels like you're talking, and instead of talking to the lens, they're talking to the picture. It just helps them overcome that sense that this isn't. I'm not talking to a human being. I don't know why I'm even talking to this inanimate object with the red light in front of me. So doing something like that. Some people are really good at just imagining a person that they're talking to and then having the conversation in their mind with that person that they're imagining. And that can help really loosen you up and cause you to find that normal pattern of speech that feels comfortable and really help relax you a little bit in front of a camera. So those are just a few real practical tips.
So I'm going to throw in this because we've shot a lot of video this year, and one of the most fun ones I've done is with a customer that, and you may hear a dog. That's my grand dog, by the way. It was a customer that he's he speaks on stage. He speaks on, I mean, with everybody. He's very gregarious. I mean, just has this great personality. And we flip on the camera and he's like, and it was like nothing. I mean, and he was like, yeah, don't like the camera, don't like the camera. So, you know, what I told him is, hey, I totally understand that. But for the sake of your business, if you really want it to do what you want it to do, both online and social and some of those things, you've got to make friends with the camera. And one of the best ways to do that is smile. You know, make yourself smile when you talk. So that's a really big one. You can't be like, you can't have this kind of a deal. If you smile, it relaxes you. A lot of people don't realize that. You know, it makes you more human. It makes you relatable. So smile. So that would be my last thing to say is just make sure you're smiling.
Yeah, that's good advice. All right, let's move on to the next question. So we talked about video. Let's talk a little bit about photos now. We talk all the time about how important photos are on your website. We've dedicated entire Spark Lives to photography, several of them from different perspectives. This was a good question though. How do I take better photos that tell the full story of what we do? You know, this came from somebody who told me kind of the context of the question was they had a customer that said, well, I see all the pictures on your website, but I don't know what any of that is, you know? And he went back and looked at his pictures and he started realizing he was taking very detailed, very technical pictures of problems in, you know, the systems that he worked on. But what he wasn't doing was helping the typical viewer to his website understand what the technical thing was that he was taking a picture of. So to them, it just looked like something that they didn't know what it was. What, you know, it's some system and it's a close up of something, but I don't know what's wrong. And so it meant nothing to them, and it didn't really help to tell the story. And so what he was asking was like, how do I use photos in a way that really helps to tell the story? How do I make the pictures better for, you know, the average person coming to my website to look at a picture and understand what we do and how we do it for them? And I thought that was a great question. To me, the number one way, the easiest way to connect with people is before and after pictures, and doing it at a distance that helps people put whatever it is you're taking a picture of into context. And if you need specific pictures of particular, you know, like a damaged part or, you know, the surface of something being one way that is not the way it's supposed to be or whatever it is, then, you know, use the tools that you have. I mean, every cell phone has the ability to annotate a photo now. I mean, you can use circle tools and drawing tools, and you can circle a part of the photo or whatever, and then use the page to describe, or a caption beneath the photo or something to describe what it is that you've circled and why. Like why this is the thing that you want to draw their attention to, and why it's important for them to see it and know what's wrong. So, you know, that's one way, using photos in addition to those captions. And but I find that especially with the kind of work that the before and the after is just a quality thing. Like before it was dingy and ugly, and after we redid it, you know, it's pretty and new and shiny. That's easy for most people to understand. You know, it's easy for people to see old and outdated versus new and updated. And so those kinds of contrasts are really good. Those are really useful. And before and afters are just a great, it's a story in itself. Okay. Two pictures next to one another describing the state of something at different times before and after work is done. That in itself is a self-contained story. And it's a great way to do it. And Taylor, you've talked before about, you know, how to take those before and after pictures. Talk a minute about some of that.
So I think every truck should have blue or green painter's tape on it. And when you start the job, you need to take the before after, the before picture, not the after picture, but where you take that picture, you need to take just a piece of blue painter's tape and put it down where your feet were. So that way, when you're ready to take mid shot or the after shot, whatever that is, then you go back to that same spot and you take it with the same, the same phone, the same iPad, whatever, from that same spot. Um, and there is and really is the annotated things that you could do on photos now on your phone and iPad is pretty wild. I mean, Apple I know has done a great job. I'm assuming Android's the same, though I don't know for sure. Um, and the other thing that I would tell you, a lot of times we are we are documenting the repair or documenting the thing. And sometimes we get so caught up in the documentation of, which is very important, by the way, no matter what you do, whether it's plumbing, chimney, HVAC, whatever, because you want your customer to understand that everything's been documented. See, if there's a puppy, this is Kona, everybody. All right, sweetheart. Okay. No, you can't have that stuff. um, Speaking of phones, she likes phones. So, anyway, so those are the things that you need to think of in terms of, telling the story is different than documentation. So, and I'm not talking about documentary films. I'm talking about documenting repairs and those kind of things. So, a lot of times people don't, one of the things we do is when we go out with crews, we ask them, "What are you doing here today?" And they get so technical and in the weeds of what they're going to be doing. It's well, I'm parging and then I'm doing a reline and then we're going to hook this up and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Da, da, da. So they're giving me the details on what they're doing in detailed deals instead of saying, well, we came out here, we swept, we inspected, we found an issue. Here's what the issue was. Now we're back today to fix that issue. So some of the things we're going to do, we're going to reline, we're going to parge, we're going to disc. But now you're done. So what happens in the brain, if there are logical things, and I know all of us have done this, that we've looked at something and been asked a question about something, and we answer the question and we move on down the road, not really looking at the thing. Our brain fills in gaps in stories. So if you don't have a picture of parging, or you don't have a picture of the reline, whatever, just use the pictures that you have to fill in what you're doing if you're trying to document, a job, so to speak. Does that make sense? The other thing, be very careful what pictures you put on your website pages. I've seen so many people put inspection pages on sweeping pages. I've seen waterproofing pages on leak page, pictures on leaky roof pages. I mean, you just got to be careful and make sure that what you're actually talking about on the page is what you're showing. That's the other thing that I see.
Yeah, that's good. And then Terry, just with good advice here, please don't take photos that you wouldn't want OSHA to see, such as being on the roof without a helmet and harnesses.
Oh yes, yeah.
Not just OSHA, but your
Ladders.
insurance company.
Yeah, ladders. It's another one. Don't, make sure if you're taking pictures of ladders, you look at it. I mean, these are all the things that your guys out there don't even think about that. If you're sweeping a chimney and don't have your mask on, the HEPA, mask that you have, yeah, don't put those on your website. Just make sure that you have a good picture and it's yeah, the OSHA thing will hurt you.
Well, it's the insurance thing.
And the insurance, yeah.
I mean, it'll cause your insurance rates to go up because part of underwriting's job is to make sure that you're a good risk. And
we've seen people's insurance get raised because they haven't done their scaffolding correctly.
Yeah, no, but that's what I mean is an insurance, the underwriter is going to go to your website, to your social media, is going to look at any photos that you've posted and see if they can see any blatant and obvious violations of safety procedures and protocols. Because if you're missing the boat on some of that and you're posting evidence of that fact, they can use that to adjust your insurance rate, and they will. So be careful.
They will.
That really cool shot of, all of the guys in your business up on a roof, kind of, locking arms and everything, and none of them have got a helmet on, and none of them are harnessed to the roof, and it may look cool, but it's going to cost you. That photo is going to be a very costly photo for your business.
Yes.
All right.
We take a lot of those out.
Yeah, we end up definitely advising our clients. Okay, so let's see. Do you have any tips on getting my techs to ask for reviews? This is a good question. They're the front line, right? I mean, they're the ones in front of the customer right at the moment when the customer is most likely to leave a favorable review. So how do you get them to actually ask for the review? Taylor, you got any thoughts on that?
Well, nobody likes my answer to this question. But the honest truth is just make it a part of their job. And I say that not to be demanding or off-putting, or you know what I'm saying, but it's what I know is that if in your SOP you have that as the last thing that they do, then it should be the last thing that they do. And the companies that I know that have written that into their SOPs, that have that as that's the last thing you do before you leave. And it doesn't mean that the ask is actually going to be done right there, by the way. You should follow it up with email. You should follow up with text. You should do the follow-up with those. Because there's a lot of times somebody will say, "Hey, can you review me?" And I go, "Yeah, I'd be happy to do that." And then I get a phone call or something else happens, and I'll totally forget about it. And I'm fine with the reminder. So my point is, this is one of those questions that I don't quite understand, because it's like, if it's part of their job, I don't know why they're not asking for a review. And again, I don't say that with malice,
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely make it part of their job. But you wouldn't tell a technician that part of their job is doing this particular repair and then not teach that tech how to do that repair, right? So what I think is important here is, if you're going to expect your tech to ask for the review, then train your tech how to ask for the review, right? Do a little role play in the office, one morning, just make it part of the stand-up meeting, and role play it, and let all the guys on the team see that role play and understand what asking for a review, what a good ask looks like. And I think that goes a long way to breaking down some of that uncomfortability that a tech may have in asking for the review. We want our sales guys to know how to sell and ask for the sale. We drill on that. We train on that. I think we should absolutely do the same thing with reviews. If we expect someone to do it, we should absolutely equip them to be able to do it the way we want it done, and to do it at a high standard, and in an effective way that gets a lot more reviews. So train on it. Do a little bit of role play and see how that goes. Also incentivize it. I think I don't have a problem spiffing a technician $20 every time they get a good review. Not every time they ask for a review, but every time they get a good one that mentions their name, so that they get in the habit of that. Some people are driven by that, monetary reward. Others are driven by the recognition. So, make sure that every time a good review comes in that mentions somebody's name, or that comes from a customer that a certain technician served, talk about that in that morning meeting and celebrate it. Make sure that it gets mentioned and the right people get praised for doing a good job that led to the good review, but also doing a good job asking for that review when it was time. So that's those are motivators for creating a culture around asking for reviews. Yeah, Lou says incentivize good reviews so that they want to get them. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The monetary incentive as well as the recognition incentive. Chuck says just make it part of your closing SOP. Totally agree. But train as well. Train how to actually do it.
No, I think that's all good. Absolutely. And we've got Gregory. He's asking if he can ask questions here. We're going to let him ask questions.
Sure. Yeah. Feel free to ask a question in the comments, and we can answer any questions you ask. Yeah. All right. Last question that we have prepared though is this one. It's about call tracking. How does call tracking work, and do I need anything to do it? So the short answer to that is no, you don't need a thing to track your calls, except asking the question when someone calls, how did you hear about us, right? That tells you where that. So call tracking is this. It's simply knowing where somebody came from when they gave you a phone call. Where did you find our phone number? Where did you learn about us? How did you get to this point of giving us a phone call? That's call tracking. And you can do it absolutely manually. So do you need anything to do it? Yeah, I guess the minimum thing that you need is a piece of paper and a pen, to just track and mark down where people are coming from when they give you a call. From there, you can get a little more technical. You can buy different phone numbers or get monthly, pay monthly for the use of phone numbers, and use different phone numbers for different marketing activities. Put one number on your website, put one number on your truck, put one number maybe on a billboard, or any advertising that you're doing in print. Do another for any of the digital advertising that you're doing with Google AdWords or Facebook ads, so that when somebody calls that number and it rings into your office and it came from that number, you automatically know where they got that number, because that's the number you use for this particular marketing activity. So that's the other way. But then you can get into some really cool stuff like what we're doing with Customer Engine. The ability to track and record phone calls automatically, do all of that automatically through a dashboard that gives you just a tremendous amount of insight into your marketing efforts and how well things are going there. So, call tracking is in its simplest form is just knowing where calls are coming from by asking your customer where they learned about you. In its most complex form, you need a marketing company like us to be able to set that up and make that work for you, to be able to manage that and get a lot of the benefits like call recording and those things as well.
So the only thing that I would add to that is I think call tracking when we first started was not available. Everybody was doing it by hand. And the problem with that is everybody says, I found you on Google. So, it was internet. Well, the way people get to the internet is also really interesting, because sometimes they'll write the phone number on your truck. If you guys spend a lot of money wrapping those trucks. So if you get phone calls from the truck and they go, well, I got it on the internet. Well, they see the name of it. They write your phone number down, and then they go type your business name in the internet, and it pulls up and they see, and there's the website. And then they go back and look at the phone number they wrote down, and that's where they got. So that's what you're wanting to do. Is it a perfect science? No. They could do the exact same thing and then look at the phone number on the website and call that one, and we get attributes to the website. But it is a lot closer than picking it, on a pad. So the thing I also like about it is it works for things offline as well. So it doesn't have to be online stuff. It can be Facebook, Google, all the different things online, your truck, yard signs. It can be posters. It can be, billboards. I mean, anything that you use, both online and off, you can put a call tracking number on and know how well that did. And the people that are doing it are finding that, oh, wow, direct mail is working again. Great. We found that out. Oh, magazines, not so much. They don't work very well. The Val packs in some areas work well, other areas not so much. You gotta, and it also is from client to client. Some clients like the Val pack clientele that they get, others that's not their clientele. So there's all these different things that you get from tracking calls, and so you can slice and dice that. And then on the recording, I've had people say, "Well, why in the world would you record a call?" Well, you find out things on the recording with people that are answering the phone. Sometimes they're not doing a very good job. And I don't say that again in terms of, so go out and fire them and replace them. No, they need coaching. We got to coach people. We got to coach them and let them, know what to say, how to say it, how to deal with things. It could be technical coaching that you find out that they're saying one thing and then it means another. And it's like, that's no, that doesn't make sense. So, or I've had things when people say, no, we don't do that. And then I hear the call and go, yeah, you do that. And then I have to call and say, okay, what about this? Did you not understand that you actually do this work because it's on your website, it's here, it's there? So that's the really important thing about call tracking. It's, I look at it as a coaching tool. Just
Absolutely. And it's a great chance to catch somebody doing something right.
Oh yeah.
To really
Yeah,
funnel praise
absolutely.
to somebody who's an exemplary, who's doing it exactly the way that you want them to do it. But by recording it, you also learn things about your customers that you might not be thinking about when you're in the moment taking those phone calls and taking their information and booking appointments and thinking about it from the logistics standpoint of booking an appointment. But after the fact, listening back to those recordings, you'll learn a lot more about your customer than you would in that moment. And all of that information helps you understand who your most valuable customer is, and which customers you really want to find more of to be able to serve in your business. So that's part of call tracking and recording. Absolutely. I recommend, the systems that are available now, like Customer Engine, to be able to do that, are not the barrier to entry is not that big. And to be able to set up that system and run it, the flexibility of that, the ability to use it to really capture more in-depth information about where your business comes from. That's just part of. It should be a standard part of what businesses do today in their general marketing.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%.
All right. Well, we are 3 minutes over. Chuck, real quick, said have an SOP for tracking calls and study the data for the answers. The best system is automated, and thanks, Chuck, for mentioning us as well. Jerry, thanks for the compliment, sir. Appreciate it. We always try to bring good information. And just so everybody knows, Spark Live is also a podcast after the fact. You can listen to this on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, etc., anywhere that you like to listen to podcasts after the fact. You can also find the video recording released after on Facebook and on YouTube. So please share it around, tell people about it. Hopefully this brings you a lot of value and a lot of good ideas and thinking for your business and where you're growing. Make sure you give us a heart, thumbs up, a like, subscribe to us on YouTube if you watch there so that you get notified every time we drop a new one every single week. Speaking of next week, we're going to be talking with Luke Curley, our special guest on the show, a little bit about how automation is helping his business and really transforming the way that they do certain things. So that'll be a good conversation. Looking forward to that, talking with Lou. And I think that's it.
Awesome. Hope you guys have a much warmer place to be than I'm at right now. That's all I can say.
Take care of that sniffle. Lots of love to your kids, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your vacation, man.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
See you.